Hello everyone, welcome to online lecture series on nanotechnology and surface engineering. Today we are going to discuss about preparation of nanoparticles. That is part of your second chapter. So let's begin. So first we will begin with small introduction about nanoparticle preparations. So there are three key points for nanoparticle preparation. First is formation of high degree supersaturation in narrow time or space. So to form nanoparticles we require high degree of saturation. Second is suppression of aggregation, that is we need to suppress the mixing or the aggregation. And third one is monodisperse growth, that is diffusion. It can be diffusion, controlled growth or Ostwald ripening. See, this we will be studying in some detail in later part of this lecture. So you need to remember three things. That three key points are formation of high degree of supersaturation, second is suppression, and third one is the growth. Growth can be monodisperse, diffusion or controlled. Now the next is classification of preparation method. So classification can be on the basis of phase of medium for preparation, that it can be a gas, liquid, aerosol or solid. And the second way of classifying it is in terms of method of monomer preparation, and it can be physical or chemical. So here is a small example that how we prepare nanoparticles. So here we are having a bulk and it is evaporated or dissolution is done. So the same thing is achieved over here. So here comes the nucleation process, and after nucleation we have the growth of nanoparticles. Next we will be discussing about gas phase physical preparation. So for that we will be understanding the characteristics of gas phase preparation. So here in case of gas phase, the formation is done which is less dense. So volume will be high and it will be a more of a kind of a mobile phase. So movement will be more in case of gas phase preparation. It requires large volume and high temperature process. Apart from that, it has high equipment cost. It also excludes additional sintering processes. So it doesn't require additional sintering process. Then aggregation, which is less and weak, but still some form of aggregation is observed in such kind of gas phase preparation. Then properties are quite different between the gas and NP produce. So there will be somewhat difference between the gas as well as the nanoparticles which are produced after this preparation. No solubility problems for precursors in gas medium. And there are few examples are given here are sulfide, nitride, carbide and boride, and all of these are easily available. And here less number of chemical species and processes are involved. The advantage is high purity product as well as it is environment friendly. There is no requirement of washing or no additional sintering and easily it can be recovered. And no effective stabilizers and less control level. So this is a disadvantage here of gas phase physical preparation. And here is few properties which are given for gas and liquid as a medium. You can pause this video and you can note down if you wish. Next is gas strategy, general strategy for gas phase preparation. So here we will be discussing about the strategy. So here rapid increase in concentration of vapor molecules is obtained by vaporization or sublimation. So this is the way we can increase the concentration of vapor molecules. And here is a small example of a chemical reaction is also given. As you can see, TiCl4 which is in gaseous phase, then oxygen which is obviously in a gaseous phase, and we obtain a solid TiO2 and we achieve 2Cl2 gas, and it requires energy, and this energy is achieved or obtained from hot wall reactor, flame, laser or plasma. And after that we require the nucleation. So it is done in a short duration by rapid cooling, expansion and dilution. Here the supersaturation is attained, but it is very short. And here we will move forward with our next topic, that is physical preparation. So here we are having electrically heated generators. So we will focus on this figure here. So here, this is the arrangement we are having, that electrical heating for evaporation of bulk materials in tungsten heater. So here we are having tungsten heater in low pressure inert gas. So here we are providing a low pressure inert gas over here. This is the place we are having as a source, and here it is transported by convection and thermophoresis to cool the environment. So convection and thermophoresis is used as a cooling, and there will be a subsequent nucleation and growth. Here this is the actual image as you can see, and if we focus over here on the source, then very close to the source we are having a vapor zone. Above it we have a nucleation zone, and the rest of the part is a metal fume, and it is quite visible in actual image also. And this is suitable for substances having a large vapor pressure at the intermediate temperatures up to about 1700 degrees Celsius. There is only one disadvantage of this process, is that the operating temperature is limited by the choice of crucible, that is over here at the source. Here it is evolved to flow process using tubular reactor placed in the electrical furnace. So here there is a slightly advancement to a flow process, and it is done using a tubular reactor which is placed in electrical furnace. So it requires a rapid temperature decrease by free jet expansion or in a turbulent jet. So cooling in case of a tubular reactor is obtained using free jet expansion or using a turbulent jet. Elemental nanoparticles are given here, that is argon, iron, nickel and so on. So here we are having a furnace using evaporation process and furnace with precursor pyrolysis. And here also you can see mechanism in the flow reactor, which is our first point on this slide. That here we are having a bulk which is getting evaporated and it gets converted into a vapor molecule. Then the next process is nucleation. After that we have coagulation as well as condensation, and this is the region where improved control is required. Next is laser processes. So here use of a pulsed laser instead of electrical heating. So here there will not be any kind of electrical heating, instead of that we will be using laser. So here you can see here that this is the substrate or target which from which we need to generate the nanoparticles, and from the left hand side we are having an arrangement of providing the laser. So there is a pulsed laser beam striking on the target, and there will be a vapor zone here, and subsequently nanoparticle formation will be done. And then we have this beam stop over here. So this is the way we can use laser for formation of nanoparticles. And it is energy efficiency is improved here, but it is expensive as far as energy cost is concerned. And what is the important part over here? Important part is wavelength and pulse width of the laser. Wavelength, in case of wavelength, we focus on absorption coefficient of the target and cross section of the ambient gas. And as far as pulse width is concerned, the important thing is excitation ablation mechanism. Then we have the few examples are given here of laser, that is excimer laser 193, 248, 308 and nanometer, or ND-YAG laser which is of 532 nanometer, or UV laser can be used, or carbon dioxide laser can also be used. It has short pulses of 10 to 15 nanoseconds. The production rate is microgram per pulse, and it is from 10 to 100 micrograms per hour at 50 Hz. Microgram per pulse over here, 10 to 100 microgram per pulse at 50 Hz. And generally laser is only used for small scale production due to high production cost. Next is arc plasma, which is a spark arc discharge. High current spark across the electrode is produced by breaking down of flowing inert gas vaporizes a small amount of electrode metals. So here it can be seen here that we have anode, over here we have cathode, and there is a N2O, N2 and H2 gas mixture. So there will be an arc formation, current spark, high current spark will be there across these electrodes, and then there will be a vaporization of small amount of electrode metals over here. Next is wire electrical explosion. So here we are having overheating, that is through resistive or Joule heating. we have already seen this in our physics, of a metal wire through which a strong pulse current flows followed by explosion of metal vapor, and so it is evaporated. So here we are having a metal wire, then a current is passed, so there will be a heating and melting, and after that we have metal vapor plasma, and then we have formation of nano-sized particles. So here example is also given through this actual image. So a strict camera photograph of discharge through exploding wire is given. So it starts from left down over here up to the right up here, and time interval is merely 0.1 microsecond. And here few important numbers are given, that is 15 kilovolt and 500 to 800 kilo ampere through wire in few ms at 50 bar. Production rate is 1 kg per pulse and powder consumption is 2 kilowatt hour per gram. So let's begin with our next topic, that is sputtering. So here we are having a high temperature plasma. So here we will be predominantly using plasmas. So we will have high temperature plasma. We have high temperature plasma, that is electrons and ions are at high temperature, for example arc plasma or AC RF plasma, or second category is low temperature plasma, which has electrons at high temperature but ions are at low temperature. And example of low temperature plasma are sputtering and microwave plasma. So this is the actual image of sputtering here, and here also we can see that there is an anode and a cathode, and we are having a substrate above the anode and source or target at the cathode, and we are having a DC supply over here, and argon is the sputter gas over here, and there will be here, this will be the glow discharge as it can be seen over here, and this glow discharge is used to produce the energetic particles, that is ions. There is this pink region. Momentum transfer to the target. So here there will be a momentum transfer to the target resulting in ejection of surface atoms or molecules to produce the sputtering species. So we have nearly 1 amp torque, and the range is 100 to 1000 volt at 10 to 100 pascal, and electrical current density is several of milliampere centimeter or centimeter square. So that is this sputtering. Next is gas phase chemical preparation. So here monomers are chemically produced from low boiling but highly productive, highly reactive precursors. So we have already seen this formula. So saturation ratio is given by this formula, and it is usually, saturation ratio is usually very high at even high temperatures. So how we can supply the energy for chemical reaction? It can be done in 4 different ways. First is electrically heated furnace, that is hot wall tubular reactor, or flame reactor, or laser pyrolysis, or thermal plasma synthesis. Then here we can see example of this, that is we have already seen this figure. So vapor A and vapor B are two reactants, they get here chemical reaction, then there will be a nucleation followed by coagulation and condensation. So this is the way gas phase chemical preparation is done. Now hot wall tubular reactor. That is the first way of supplying the energy for chemical reaction. So tubular reactor with heating provided through hot wall, as the name is also suggesting. Temperature is directly controllable here, and use of low boiling precursors such as organometallics or metal carbonyls, followed by its decomposition to yield condensable material. It has flexibility in producing a wide range of materials, and it can produce even composite particles, coated or doped. The temperature is generally less than 1700 degrees Celsius, and it has low energy efficiency. So this is all about hot wall tubular reactor. Next is laser pyrolysis or photothermal synthesis. So it is actually a spot heating and rapid cooling. It is highly localized and efficient. And here carbon dioxide laser, that is infrared laser, is absorbed by the precursors or by the inert photosensitizers, that is SF6. And here Si is obtained from SiH4, MOS2 and Si. So here there is a figure of vapor phase reactor by laser beam. So here we are having a carrier gas at the bottom. Here precursor material is there, heater is there, and this is actually the entire sublimation cell. And from the left hand side we are having reactor or ancillary gases, that is here written C2H4 or H2S, etc. Then we have air cordial flow below this portion over here. Both sides are the NaCl windows are given. This is the power meter, and this is the reaction zone, that is the center of this figure. And here through this region nanoparticles are generated and they are gathered over here. This is the capacitance manometer is provided. So this is the way it is happening. So through here we are providing the laser, and laser beam stops at the above. Gaseous reactors enters over here in this chamber, and then it is followed by the nucleation growth and agglomeration. So this is about the laser pyrolysis. Then thermal plasma synthesis. Thermal plasma is produced by arc discharge, microwaves, lasers, or high energy particle beams, or electroless radio frequency RF, discharge, capacitive or inductive coupling. It is providing 40 kilowatt of thermal power, which is around having 30 to 40% of efficiency up to 6 Newton meter cube per hour of plasma gases over here. Precursors are used here can be in solid, liquid or gaseous phase, and residence time in hot zone, which is 10,000 Kelvin, which is for less than 1 second, and cooling rate is of 10 raised to 6 to 10 raised to 9 Kelvin per second. So let's focus on thermal plasma synthesis over here. So here we are having a carrier gas which passes through this ultrasonic atomizer, then plasma gas and seed gas are added over here, then it passes through this entire quartz tube, and there will be a plasma tall flame can be seen over here, and there will be then exhaust through the electrostatic collector. So this is a small process which is given. MM size particles in carrier gas, that is over here at the top right. Then there will be evaporization of solids, and then we have reactive gases are added over here in the cooling zone. So here this gas is converted into atoms and then into monocrystals. Here we can see the actual image also. Next is flame synthesis. It requires fuel for combustion as a heat supply. Evaporation and chemical reaction of precursors in flame is produced by fuel combustion. This is the most commercially successful process in which 10⁶ tons per year of carbon, black and metal oxides are produced. It is difficult to control process and flame temperature is up to 1000 to 2400 degrees Celsius. The residence time in the flame is 10 to 100 milliseconds here. The sintering here, if you focus over here, then these are the precursors, and if you see this entire flame, then there is a chemical reaction and monomer formation over here, particle growth by coagulation and coalescence, and then we have agglomeration, which is post flame particle growth, and this is the actual image you can see. Next is preparation of carbon nanotube. So no commercial equipments are required. These are homemade and go throughout the batch reactors. They are prepared by decomposition of this hydrocarbons in non-oxidizing carrier gas. This is catalyst for SWNT and nanoparticles of ferrous, iron, cobalt, nickel and molybdenum. Then growth mechanism is here shown, that is base growth and tape growth. So here it can be seen that here we are having root growth on the top, and at the bottom we are having the tape growth. You can pause this video and you can check this by yourself. Then this is the part which is very much in detail, and if you wish you can pause this video and go through this, but this will not be asked in the mid-semester examination. Then this is the summary of major production methods and their efficiencies. So you can pause this video and take a screenshot of this if you want. The next is carbon nanotubes. These are long thin cylinders of carbon which are discovered in 1991 by S. Ichima, and it is thought of a sheet of a graphite rolled into a cylinder. These are the three structures of carbon nanotube over here: armchair, zigzag and shearer structures. Single wall nanotubes are 2 nanometer in diameter and 100 micrometer long. These are prepared with metal catalyst, and these are the multi-wall nanotubes, which is this last figure. And there are few properties of carbon nanotubes. These are sensitive to nanotube structures. These are electrical properties, that is metallic or semiconducting depending on the diameter and shearability of the tube. Armchair is metallic while shearer is semiconducting. From synthesis it is 2/3 of semiconducting and 1/3 of metallic in general. Then quantum confinement effect. Here limited number of electronic states in circumferential direction. Here we are ending this lecture, and we will continue further in our next lecture. Thank you for watching this video.